with the UN, and all of a sudden in the Watchtower publications, they started writing up favourable articles to the UN, which they have always demonised and condemned to hell for being the chief instrument of Satan the devil to bring about a new world order on this earth. Now, for a decade, they were NGOs and writing favourable articles. They were exposed in 2001, and this caused a lot of damage to this organisation, and they did a lot of reshuffling with their governing body. All of a sudden, the governing bodies were no longer directors of the Watchtower and Tract Society Incorporated, and all these shonky, shall we say, things started to happen. So I became disillusioned, and I left their meetings, didn't go for since 2005. Then 2007, a friend of mine who is very insightful, he mentioned the Rothschilds in passing. And of course, we all know that big name,
sure.
The Rothschild Bank. Such a prestigious name, such a high-sounding name, you see. And so I questioned him about the Rothschilds. And so I realised that these people were instrumental in some of the things that were going on. So I quickly raced home and Googled that name. And I found Andrew Carrington Hitchcock's book in October of 2007, ordered it online, read it in 2 days, and away I went. And then everything started to fall into place. Everything that I'm going to be presenting and have presented in my videos comes from that very auspicious day. Now, the other foundation that I laid was an amateur astronomy foundation. I've always had telescopes and I've always studied the zodiac and the constellations. And believe you me, if I did not have that foundation, I would not have been able to uncover what I've uncovered. So there you have it in a nutshell.
That's great. And in a way, perhaps in a smaller scale, I'm a little bit like you. I grew up a devout Catholic, and then I started looking outside because what really triggered me was the fact that I would ask questions in parochial school, and it was always the same answer. Well, that's the way God wanted it, almost as if you are not allowed to ask questions outside of the, dare we say, the curriculum that's presented to us. But recently you told me that you were going to do a presentation, and by now you probably have already done that presentation. You said it was going to be a big one. I'm here with a lot of expectation. Tell us what happened. Tell us exactly what you're trying to convey. That's huge.
Okay, I just sent you a link there to that. The presentation is online already. I did this presentation on Sunday, the 4th of September, and it's online. You have a link, and you can share that with others. If people want to go and see this presentation, it's called Reclaiming Dominion Part 1, and you can see Part 2. In there I have explained I'm busting the fictions of law, religion and science. These are the 3 big ones, okay? Now, what I've already exposed in my videos, Mel, is the fact that Rome still rules this world. Rome is behind everything, and I've exposed these facts. Now, when you...
Are you referring to the Vatican per se?
The Vatican and the Roman cult, which was founded by the Julian dynasty. You see, Rome was a republic once for 500 years, and there was relative peace. Relative peace. There were a few wars, the Punic Wars, Carthage and all of that, but in the main, Rome was a country that was a city-state and a country that was founded on a republic and law. Then all of a sudden came this family from nowhere, the Julian family, and Julius Caesar and his adopted nephew Augustus is when all the damage really began. They created a lot of these fictions that are still here today. For instance, the big one. We all know about the Julio-Gregorian calendar. Now, the whole world subscribes to this calendar and is subjected to it. We set all our clocks to this calendar. So Rome still dominates us by means of this slave system, this calendar that Julius Caesar and Augustus implemented in Rome. The other thing which we have around the world is the Latin language. In one form or another, the Latin language dominates the planet. English uses it, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, German, Dutch. These are big, big languages. They are all in the top 12 languages, the ones I've just mentioned, and they are Latin. Law, the law in the Western world, all operates under canon law, and canon law is the Vatican. It's commercial law, law of the high seas. So when you go to court and you're dealing with a magistrate, he is dressed in black, usually. Your judges are dressed in black because they are administering canon law, and which comes from Rome, and it's the Church of Saturn. Saturn is the color black, and therefore it's Saturn is also Latin. And I'll go into that in a minute.
Sounds like Satan.
Yeah, it is. It is. Saturn is Satan. That's who it is. It's and I've exposed this in my videos because you see, Saturn and the Sun have a very, very powerful relationship. Saturn takes 29.5 years to orbit. I won't say orbit around the Sun because that's false. It orbits with the Sun. And that also I will explain in the science part of this interview, because the science of our solar system is wrong, that the science that we learn in our universities. Now, its relationship to the Sun is very similar to the Moon with the Earth. The Moon also has a 29.5 day orbit. That's the synodic moon cycle, the 4 phases of the Moon. These take 29.5 days. So we know that the Moon has a very powerful influence on this planet, the Earth. Well, Saturn also pulls the Sun's strings with its 29.5 years in which it orbits with the Sun. And the Sun is the electric center of our solar system. Saturn is Mr. Magnetism. And it's the energy of Saturn that is being harvested by the elites, and that is causing them to be able to have a negative impact on the Earth and to be able to control the Earth through their agencies, primarily the Vatican. You see, the Vatican is a corporation. That's all it is. It's just a corporation doing business, and their business is banking, fraud, interest-bearing money, Federal Reserve notes, taxation, big pharma. They're in the God business, Mel. You see, the God business is guns, oil, and drugs. So this big corporation, which with its many, many manifold arms, you'll find that oil is in there and arms, as I've mentioned. People trafficking is in there. But everything that is vile and perverse, the elites are running in the black market, underground. They control the white market, so to speak, the public market. That's all rigged. That is all rigged. Everything is rigged. The lot of it. It's all rigged by the elites and their corporations, and their chief or corporation with its CEO, the Pope, and the cardinals. They're just directors of this corporation. They are behind all of the viciousness and the Inquisition, which is still going on today. Now, I've proven this. The Inquisition is still alive and well. And they run it with these agencies. The Vatican is their chief agency. Now, the other things they run that Rome has invented is the economic system, which we call capitalism, a fictional religious system, which is a Judeo-Christian system, Now, the Judeo-Christian concept is neither Jewish nor Christian, because both of those systems come out of Egypt, and Christianity originated in Egypt, and it was very, very different to the Christianity that we're being fed in the churches today. And so you see the calendar, the language, the law, the religion, the economy, the politics, which is basically Christian democracy, well, call it mob rule, the science, which has been counterfeited, counterfeit money, taxes, false history, big pharma, guns, oil and drugs. This is Rome today. And what is Rome? Well, it's just a kingdom of ideas. And all these ideas, Mel, are just a house of cards, and they're ready to topple over. With the new consciousness that is coming today, mankind is awakening to many, many things with the internet and all the information that we have. We are suddenly starting to see that things are not the way that the institutions of this world have painted. In fact, we find that when you do your study and your research, you find soon enough that they are exactly the opposite to what they say. The exact opposite.
Absolutely. And when you're referring to the 29.5 day, I can only think of one curious aspect. The lunar and the female menstrual cycle are locked. Can you explain that?
Yes, well, men from menstruation, men is moon, and yes, the feminine cycle of menstruation is locked into the moon. When you study the moon, you'll notice that it goes from new moon to full moon. Right. Now we will have a full moon very, very soon. I believe in about 3 or 4 days. Now that corresponds to the womb of the woman. You see, the moon is the womb of the solar system, and the ancients taught this. Plutarch taught it, Socrates and Hermes and Plato, etc. They taught that the moon is fertilized by the sun. The sun's electric sperm is what magnetizes the moon, and the moon is the sphere which souls descend from to incarnate on the earth. So when the moon is full, this corresponds to the eggs in the ovaries, the ovum, in the ovum, becoming mature in the womb of the woman. You see, it takes 14 days from when the woman menstruates. It takes 14 days for that egg to mature, just like the moon. The moon menstruates at new moon. You see, you can't see the moon